board meeting. We are somewhat in flux because one of our main members, John Deal, is writing and has his... Well, he's in the room when all this stuff is being debated down in Jefferson City as the House Majority Leader. He is Speaker in waiting, and he joins us via phone technology from Jefferson City. Good morning, House Majority Leader John Deal.
Hey, good morning, McGraw. Yeah, the fine technology of phone.
The fine technology of phones. We should say that since you're not in studio today, I did splurge and bring Girl Scout cookies for you, so you will be missing out on the Girl Scouts.
Yeah, they'll be gone. Sorry, John.
With my new diet plan, that would be bad for me. You'd throw me off the wagon.
Good thing. I don't want to test you. Also with us, former Chief of Staff to Governor Holden, Jane Duker. Jane, good morning.
Good morning, McGraw.
And the person chomping into your ear, that is editorial page editor of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, Tony Messenger. Tony, good morning.
I can never get it right. Is it on the wagon, off the wagon? I don't know.
Ooh,
I
just know I'm eating the cookies.
Yeah, I'm eating the cookies.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's first talk about Arizona, because Arizona has been in the news. In fact, a legislator here from Cape Girardeau, I believe, introduced a similar bill. That is to keep the gays away. Jan Brewer, yesterday, governor of Arizona, vetoed that legislation. Tony Messenger, we'll start with you. What are your thoughts?
Well, when Jan Brewer is showing up as the voice of reason in the Republican Party nationally, not only vetoing the anti-gay bill, the horrible discrimination bill that shouldn't even be. She's also in favor of Medicaid expansion. I mean, this is Jan Brewer of all people is the voice of reason in the Republican Party. Look, if you've never read Jack Danforth's book Faith and Politics, what's going on with this issue is a perfect time to go read that book and look at what's gone wrong, particularly in his party. That's what the focus of the book is about. In this concept of trying to combine religion and politics. E.J. Dionne has a column today, Washington Post syndicated columnist that we ran in the Post-Dispatch on our editorial page, in which he talks about the real damage that issues like this have to religious people, because we have a long tradition in our country of allowing conscientious objection, of allowing churches to have freedoms and balancing out the concept of not discrimination with actual moral belief. And when you take these pro-discrimination, anti-Christian ideas and try to say that they're to protect Christianity, to protect faith, it actually makes it harder, I believe, for people of faith to have that protection that we've always had in this country, because it makes it so laughable. It makes it such a joke. Nobody wants to enshrine, well, some people obviously do, discrimination into government practice, into the practice of business, and they actually make it more likely that gay rights becomes the civil rights issue of the time, which it clearly is at this point.
John Deal, what was interesting about this is that so many Republicans came out against it, whether it was McCain, whether it was other senators, Mitt Romney came out, even 3 state senators who voted for the bill came out and said it was a mistake and urged Jan Brewer to veto the same bill they voted for.
Yeah, I have my hands full following what goes on up here, so I can't honestly say that I follow more than what I may read in a headline on what's going on in Arizona or other states. But our spring break is coming up, and if we want to go on a fact-finding mission there, we can try to go do that over the next couple of weeks. But I just don't. I'm not familiar with the details there. But, Tony has some twisted logic on this, that we're going to protect people's religious beliefs by making them do something that they don't believe in. And I don't know if that's the case either. This country was built on a balance of individual rights, but also protecting the rights, and government not coercing, whether it be through legislation or through lawsuits, or the exposure to lawsuits to do things which they religiously, conscientiously object to. So I don't know what the answer is as it relates to Arizona, because I haven't studied that law or that issue too much. I know over here in the Missouri House that I'm dealing with, I'm not aware of anybody filing a similar bill. I know it's not on the calendar, and I'm not aware of it moving.
Wayne Wallingford
moving through
has filed an almost identical bill. You have a House Republican who has filed almost an identical bill in your House, John.
Tony, I hate to break the bubble, but Wayne Wallingford is a senator.
Well,
then
it's either in the Senate or I named the wrong guy. But there is a bill in the Missouri legislature that would do the same thing.
People. Okay, I can't control, and it can't be controlled with 200 different people file. I had somebody, a Democrat, that filed a bill saying the high five should be the official state handshake of the state of Missouri. So
less harmful.
And the Post-Dispatch opposed it.
The question is what is moved, and what's not moved. And I know on this side, I think this election cycle is about taxes, it's about spending, it's about the role and scope of government. That's what I'm focusing on.
What concerns me, it actually makes my head spin, is so let's say I have a religion, and my religion determines that I don't like African Americans or I don't like women, so I get to then go ahead and exclude people. I mean, it would be okay to pass a bill to say I can exclude blacks and women and other people because I religiously think that that's a problem. I mean, and so are you telling me that government's going to say my religion is stupid, but another religion's okay?
John, go ahead.
Can you sue the Catholic Church because women aren't priests?
That's private. That has nothing to do with it. I mean, it's
you
completely private.
That's
can't
the
compare.
problem. That's the problem with this issue is you actually end up conflating the real opportunity for people of faith to practice their faith and the government actually endorsing discrimination. Jane brings up an example that is actually part of our disgusting history in this country, in which people of faith used that argument to discriminate against blacks, to discriminate against women.
Interracial
and now
marriage.
they're trying to do the exact same thing against gays, and it's offensive. And the Republicans who are strong enough and courageous enough to stand up against it should be praised.
Well, and I also think too that
let's not be hypocritical here, okay? This is an issue which is evolving. There's no doubt, and there's no issue about it. But I know you're eager to paint everything as being an evil Republican and blah blah blah. But the reality is, even Jay Nixon, okay, and Barack Obama, before they ran for their re-elections, they had different. Or their elections and re-elections in another case, they had a different position
on gay marriage. They did, and they were wrong, and they have evolved to a more proper position. But I don't believe Barack Obama or Jay Nixon ever proposed discriminating against gays in terms of going into a business.
Endorsing gay marriage is not the same thing as saying they don't get to go to a restaurant if somebody.
I actually disagree with everybody here. I think discriminating against, what's the difference between walking into a restaurant and not being allowed to be served because you're gay and walking into the city hall to get married and not allowed to get married because you're gay? I don't see the difference.
Well,
I agree with you. I don't think gay marriage should be discriminated against in this state or any other state as well. That is a discrimination against a civil procedure that I'm allowed to go to. It's one thing if a church has a moral belief in terms of what their priest or pastor or imam or whatever is going to perform, and our country respects the individual right of those people of faith to do what they want to do in their church.
But keep it in your faith,
but
not in government.
Get it out of government.
Well, if you want to talk about religious freedom, there are many mainstream churches that endorse, embrace, and perform civil union marriages at the altar. So what about discriminating against their religious beliefs? If a church, a mainstream church, wants to marry two men or two women, but yet they're denied their religious faith at the courthouse steps, that's the government infringing on their religious beliefs.
Well, and I actually think there's a difference. I mean, I think this whole thing is dumb that government would even do this. But if a religion wants to sanction a certain union, they're allowed to do that within the religious, within their religious sector. Nobody disagrees with that. Now, whether the government
actually, that's not true because Mormons can't marry 4 women.
Well, no. Well, yeah, you know what? That is interesting, but because that does go against the grain. But the bottom line is whether the government has to recognize something based on religious beliefs. That's when you start getting into these arguments and slippery slopes, and that's why our founders, and that's why scholars, that's why everyone in the 200-year plus history of this country have said, you know what, we are better off separating church and state, because to mesh them both is to ruin them both. And that's basically what's going on here. So it's not just a moral judgment about separation of church and state. It's actually better. It makes government do its job, and it makes religion do its job. But I think there's a difference as to whether in a civil context that the government would have to recognize, for example, property rights or divorce rights or access to courts to split property. I think that's a governmental decision.
That's Jane Duker. John Deal's on the phone. Tony Messenger is with us as well. When we come back, we're going to talk about red light cameras, and the Missouri State Supreme Court gave nobody any direction as to what's going on now with red light cameras. We'll discuss. We'll do that next in the Big 550 KT.